Amy and I, John Stevens, have been married for 12 years. She is 38. I am 43. Amy had been divorced for 2 years when we met. We dated for about a year and then got married in a quiet civil ceremony before a justice of the peace. The only guest was Nicole, her daughter, who was 5 at the time. Amy's ex-husband, Ron, a truck driver, whom she divorced after catching him with a female truck driver. After the divorce, he married that woman. They bought their own truck, and now they work together on long-haul routes. They come to our town about twice a year for a few days to see Nicole. He seems like a decent guy and never misses a child support payment. Nicole has told me that she likes his visits, but she considers me her father. Of course, being the stepfather of a lovely 17-year-old girl has its challenges. Although we usually get along pretty well, she is still a teenager and attracts a lot of attention from teenage boys. Just because I'm her stepfather doesn't mean I care any less about my little girl. I had to give a couple of jerks who came to check her out a stern talking to, which upset Nicole. But a father has to do what a father has to do. Nicole is an excellent student and a good athlete. I was happy to buy her a car for her 16th birthday, not only because she deserved it, but also because it freed Amy and me from having to drive her to her extracurricular activities. Amy had been working part-time, and when Nicole got her car, she decided to go back to work full-time. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but her extra income would be a big help to Nicole in saving for college, so I supported her decision. Shortly after returning to work full-time, Amy was invited to a bachelorette party with her co-workers. The girls liked to go out on Friday nights and usually went to Jimmy's, a local cafe and bar with good food and live music. It wasn't a nightclub that attracted crowds of young people. The atmosphere was much more subdued. Amy and her 5 colleagues usually attracted the attention of the guys at Jimmy's. 2 of the girls were single, around 25 years old, beautiful, and they went out every Friday night. The other 3 were young married mothers of average appearance. At 38, Amy was the oldest of the ladies, but years of working out at the gym had kept her in as good shape as the 2 young beauties in her company. The 4 married women didn't go out every weekend, but they usually accompanied the younger girls once a month. Their evening usually consisted of light snacks and a couple of drinks. All the women were invited to dance, and the married ladies usually agreed to 1 or 2 dances per evening. The 4 moms rarely stayed past 10 and never past 11. The girls' night out began when one of the young women broke her knee while skiing and didn't want to go to Jimmy's on crutches. Gail, one of the mothers, invited everyone to her house. The ladies liked the more cozy and comfortable atmosphere and decided to continue the girls' night out instead of going out on the town. About 3 years later, it was Amy's turn to host the bachelorette party for the 4th time. I had been home for all the previous gatherings and ended up serving as the waiter and bartender while the ladies sat in our living room. The girls usually drank quite a lot and could get a little frisky by the end of the evening. After getting slapped on the butt a few times while bringing drinks, I tried to keep my distance from them as the evening progressed. To do this, I took my laptop to the dining room and started looking through the quarterly reports. The dining room is at the opposite end of our house, away from the ladies. I barely heard Amy call me to bring her some more wine. The wine cooler is in the dining room, so I grabbed a bottle of her favorite white wine, opened it, and brought it to her. I poured a couple of glasses, and Ginny, the youngest of the group, said, "Amy, your servant is very handsome. Does he only pour wine, or does he provide other services?" Amy laughed and replied, "That old man is probably older than your father." Ginny looked me up and down and said, "It's okay. I've always been a daddy's girl." I must have blushed bright red because all the ladies laughed loudly. I winked at Ginny, straightened up, and returned to the dining room with the empty wine bottle in my hand. I grabbed my laptop and quietly went upstairs to my bedroom. The doorbell rang, signaling that someone had arrived. I wondered who could be coming to the party so late, but then the camera showed that it was Nicole. I got up and went downstairs to greet her. She walked through the door, dragging a large canvas bag full of laundry behind her. Hi, sweetie. Why are you home? We weren't expecting you back for a few more weeks. The pipes burst in my dorm and we got flooded. We'll be studying remotely until they fix it. I think it'll be closer to the end of the semester, so I'm here. Welcome home, dear. Your mom is hosting GNI tonight. I'm sure they'd love to have you join them. I'll hide in my room. Nicole laughed. I was just about to lie down, but a glass of wine is a great idea. I'll go say hi to everyone. She kissed me on the cheek and ran to the ladies, and I went upstairs. In the morning, I was alone in the kitchen. The girls were still asleep. I was drinking my second cup of coffee when Nicole came into the kitchen. Good morning, sunshine. I baked cinnamon rolls. They're in the oven and should still be warm. Thanks, Dad, she said in a tired voice. She took her coffee and a bun and sat down at the table. She was unusually quiet, and after a few unsuccessful attempts to strike up a conversation, I realized that something was bothering her. Nicole, is something wrong, sweetie? She fidgeted nervously in her chair, and I could see she was struggling with some decision. Dad, She turned away, looked at the stairs, then turned back to me. Last night, I heard something that upset me. I didn't know if I should say anything, but, well, Ginny was pretty drunk last night, and she was talking about you and Mom the whole time. Oh, honey, she was drunk and just fooling around. Please don't let her words about me upset you. At first, I thought it was funny. She kept talking about how sexy you are and how she wants to be with a selfless man at least once in her life, not just another young guy who uses her and dumps her. She said she was jealous of my mom because she told her that I always make sure she gets what she wants when we're together. Oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry you heard that about me and your mom. I didn't know Amy talked about our personal life when she was with her friends. I'm sure it was embarrassing for you to hear. She laughed. Yeah, well, it didn't bother me too much because, well, girls talk, so it didn't matter until... What? Your mom said something bad about us? Oh, baby, they were drunk. I'm so sorry. No, Dad, it was Ginny. She said it wasn't fair that Mom got you and her ex. I fell silent. My brain was trying to process what Nicole had just said. But Ron was years ago. Ginny doesn't know him. I mean, how could she? Dad? Didn't Mom tell you? Ron sold his truck and now works as a dispatcher at Fleetside Logistics. He and Diane moved here a few months ago. I was stunned. No, she didn't say anything. But still, how does Ginny know Ron? Wasn't he at Amy's office? He must have come to see Amy, and she introduced him to Ginny as her ex. I don't know, Dad. Maybe it's the wine, but I thought Ginny was hinting at something. I just laughed along with everyone else, but it bothered me. Okay, honey, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's nothing. I'll talk to Amy. Want another muffin? I put another muffin on her plate and put the rest back in the oven. We chatted about school and how her remote classes were going. She said she would have to go back to the university to take her exams, but the rest of her classes would be online. Well, I have a lot of work to do in the yard today. Do you have any plans? I'm going to start the laundry, then call Heather and see what she's up to. Haven't seen her in a while. Oh, I remember Heather. An image of a sexy teenager pops into my head. I haven't seen her since you had that pool party. Dad, what's that smile about? Are you thinking about her white bikini? Busted. Well, she looked really cute in that swimsuit. Dad, don't be a pervert. She was only 18 then, and now she's 21. None of us look like schoolgirls anymore, she said and laughed. I finished mowing the lawn and went into the house to get a drink of water. Amy was sitting at the table sipping her coffee. She looked up when I entered the room. Did the mower wake you up? Yes, but I had to get up anyway. My goodness, I drank too much last night. I can't imagine how Ginny, Ellen, and Mary are today. I just nodded and finished my water. Well, I need to finish mowing the rest of the yard, I said, turning and walking out the back door. As I mowed, I thought about what Nicole had said and what it meant. It was strange that Amy hadn't mentioned that Ron was back in town and working only a mile from her office. Worse, he could have stopped by her office, maybe asked her out to lunch, and she hadn't told me. Obviously, I needed to talk to her about Ron and why she hadn't told me about their relationship. I finished and went into the house to take a much-needed shower. Amy was dressed and sitting in the living room sipping coffee. Her hair was still wet from her shower. "Are you done mowing?" "Yes. Now I need to take a shower," I replied, climbing the stairs. After my shower, I opened the bathroom door and saw Amy sitting on one of the small chairs by our bedroom window. She had a magazine on her lap, which she closed when she looked up at me. As I walked out, I wrapped a towel around my waist and held it with one hand. I didn't pay any attention to her and walked over to the dresser. "There's my handsome man. Do you need help drying off?" 2 days ago, such a flirtatious invitation would have led to a quick fling, but today I responded with only a grunt. I threw down the towel and pulled on my boxers. Amy just stared at me as I put on a t-shirt and shorts. "John, are you okay? Is something wrong?" I studied her face from another chair. "We have a problem. I think you're hiding something from me and I want to know what's going on." Amy's mouth opened like a fish, and she tried hard not to scream. It took her a few seconds to collect her thoughts. "I'm hiding something? What do you mean?" "Nicole told me that Ron and Diane are back in town. She said that Ginny mentioned him last night, so she obviously saw him. Can you explain to me how your co-worker met your ex-husband?" "John, I thought I told you they were back. At least I thought I did. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're back or not, does it?" "It matters to me because you didn't tell me you saw Ron. It matters to me because you must have introduced him to Ginny and didn't bother to tell me you saw him. It matters to me because I think you didn't want me to know he was back, and I want to know why you didn't want me to know he was here." No, I thought I told you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hide anything. Ginny and I ran into Ron by chance when we went to Barron's for lunch a few months ago. He was there with a colleague, and we ended up at the same table." "And how many times have you seen Ron since he came back to town?" "Well, I had lunch with him a couple of times, and when I went to Joe's bar with the girls after work, he was there with his colleague." "So he knew in advance that you'd be at Joe's with the girls, or was it just a coincidence?" "I swear I didn't tell him, but maybe Ginny told Dave, his colleague." "John, it's nothing. There's nothing between us. We're just friends, nothing more." "Then why did you hide it from me? Does Diana know you've been spending time together? Or is Ron hiding something from his wife, too?" "John, please. I don't know if he told Diana. Honey, you're putting too much into this. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I just didn't think it was important. I promise I'll tell you if I see him again." I just stared at her, trying to read her face. She seemed sincere, but she had managed to hide her actions from me for several months. Maybe she was telling the truth, but my gut told me she wasn't being completely honest with me. I decided not to tell Nicole what I had heard from Ginny because I didn't want to get her involved in this mess. I shook my head slowly. "Amy, I don't like this. I can't help thinking that you deliberately hid this from me, and I have to ask myself why you felt the need to do that." "Oh, baby, I'm sorry I upset you. I understand why you're upset, but Ron is just an old friend to me, nothing more." "Amy, you were married to this man. You slept with him for several years and had a child with him. That's a lot more than just an old friend. Look, you know I'm not usually the jealous type, but this whole situation is bothering me. I'm sorry. You're right, I was insensitive to you. I promise I'll keep you in the loop about what I'm doing." I nodded, ending the conversation. I still wasn't sure she was being completely honest with me. For the first time in our relationship, I doubted my wife's fidelity. I stood up, and she hugged me. I hugged her back and kissed her on the top of her head. I let her go and told her I was going to the hardware store and would be back in an hour or so. I was upset, and she knew it. I had no proof that she had done anything more than she had admitted, but my questions made it clear to her that I now suspected her. I believed that this would make her rethink her actions. I was concerned about whether she would now make every effort to be completely honest with Ron, or would she become much more careful about hiding her relationship with her ex-husband. Things were a bit cold at home over the next week. I tried to act normal, but I'm not a great actor. Amy tried really hard to get me to relax and forget what she had done. She skipped after-work drinks with her co-workers and called me to suggest we meet at a quiet cafe near my office. We had a drink and dinner. She talked about work and asked about my latest project. The evening was quite pleasant, and when we got home, she pulled me into the bedroom. Amy was in the shower, and I was sitting in a chair drinking a beer when Nicole came downstairs. Judging by the noise, it sounds like you two are back to normal. I probably blushed a little when I laughed. I guess so. She's trying to keep me in the loop and seems to be avoiding secret meetings with Ron. She even skipped meeting her friends after work to have dinner with me. Hey, that's great. Maybe Ginny just got drunk and that's all. Dad, I know Mom loves you. We both do. Thanks, sweetheart. I love you too. Oh, by the way, I'm going to dinner at Ron and Diane's tomorrow night. Diane called me this morning. She said Ginny told her I was home. It seems Ginny is dating one of Ron's co-workers, and they were at Ron's house a couple of days ago. Oh? I seem to remember Amy saying something about Ginny and Ron's co-worker. I think she called him Dave or Dan, I'm not sure. Well, I guess I'll find out tomorrow because they're supposed to be there too. At that moment, Amy came down the stairs. Nicole smiled guiltily at her and said, "Well, now that it's quiet upstairs, I'm going to go finish my homework." Amy laughed and replied, "You have about 2 hours before I drag him back upstairs and start all over again." "Oh my God, Mom! Too much information, too much information!" Nicole shouted as she ran up the stairs. I smiled at Amy. "I thought it was Dad's job to embarrass the kids." "No, it's 2023. Moms can do that too," she said, laughing. A few days later, Nicole told me she had a good time with Ron and Diane. She said Dave told her she was a lot like her mom. He then explained that he had met Amy on the same day he met Ginny. It was when he and Ron had bumped into them at the Baron and ended up at the same table for lunch. Nicole said that Diane was a little surprised by this and remarked that she didn't know Ginny worked with her mom. I thought about what she had told me. At least his story matched what Amy had told me about her lunch with them. It was interesting that Ron might not have told Diane about meeting Amy. Why were they both trying to hide their chance encounter? Damn, old suspicions were creeping back into my head. My boss said I needed to go to Cleveland on Friday afternoon and attend a meeting at 3 p.m. at our regional office. 3 of us were going from Columbus. After the meeting, the regional manager was going to take us out to dinner. I told Amy and Nicole I'd be back by midnight. "That's fine. I'll go out with some friends from school and probably stay at one of their places. I'll text my mom and let her know where I'll be." I was going to go to GNI to see Mary, but I won't stay late. Honey, if you're going to drink after dinner, just get a hotel room and stay there for the night. We don't want anything to happen to you. The Friday meeting went well, and we finished a little early. We decided to go to happy hour and have a drink and some appetizers instead of dinner. I had just ordered the first round when the regional manager got a call saying that his child was sick and his wife was taking him to the emergency room. "Tom, for God's sake, if your son is feeling that bad, go help your wife. The big boss isn't here. We'll tell him you were a great host." My co-workers laughed and agreed with me, advising Tom to go home. When he left, I told the guys I was going home too. 2 others decided to stay and spend the evening together. I started to text Amy, but remembered that she was going to GNI, so I just drove home. I arrived around 8 to an empty house. I changed, settled on the couch to watch a movie and drink some Angel Envy rye. As I sat there, I heard a sound and realized it was coming from Amy's iPad. Her iPad was synced with her iPhone, so calls and messages appeared on both devices at the same time. I ignored it, but it rang again and then several more times. Curiosity got the better of me, and I picked up the device. I opened the cover and entered the password, Nicole's birthday. There were several messages from Ginny. Amy: "Hey girl, I'm at Mary's. Where are you?" Ginny: "At home, hanging out with Dave." Ginny: "Ron's here. Want to come over?" Amy: "Yeah, but I'd better not. John's been acting weird lately." Ginny: "But we had such a good time last time. You can't not come." Amy: "You're bad. John's in Cleveland until late tonight." Ginny: "Yeah, damn it! Come over here. Let's have some fun." Amy: "Okay, I'm on my way. Damn it. She's leaving Mary and going to Ron's with Ginny." I opened the Find My Phone app and saw that her phone was on the move. I checked her contacts and entered Ginny's information into my phone. I sat there watching her iPhone icon move as she drove to Ginny's. I reread the message that said they had a good time last time, which meant this wasn't the first time she had gone to Ginny's to play. I opened my contacts and found Diana's number. It had been saved several years ago when they took Nicole for the weekend. I called the number, and to my surprise, she answered. "Hello, John? I'm surprised you called. Oh my God. Is Nicole okay?" Yes, she's fine. Is Ron there?" "No, he's bowling for his company team on Fridays. It sucks because I'm home alone every Friday." "Diane, I'm so sorry, but I think Ron is at Ginny's and Amy is on her way there to meet him." "What?" "No, he took his bowling ball with him. He and Ginny's boyfriend Dave are on the same team." "Diane, does he have location services turned on his phone?" "Yes. We turned it on when we were traveling a lot." "Find him on his phone. I think he'll be at 1724 Timber Lane. That's Ginny's apartment." She fiddled with her phone for almost a minute. "Damn it! That bastard lied to me." "I can see Amy's phone there, too. I'm heading over. Do you want to meet me there?" "Sure. Your house is closer, so you'll probably get there before me. What are you driving?" "A black Honda CR-V. What about you?" "A blue Ram 1500. I'll find you." I found a parking spot and waited for Diane. I saw her big pickup pull up. She got out and walked toward me. I hadn't seen Diane in years. To say she had changed would be an understatement. I remembered her as a thin, tall woman. She was still tall, maybe 5'10" in her cowboy boots. I think she weighed well over 200 pounds now, so big, but not fat. "John? My God, you haven't changed a bit. You're still as handsome as ever. I know this is a shock for you. I've doubled in size since we last saw each other. I've taken up women's powerlifting and gained a lot of muscle." I tried not to look at the Amazon standing in front of me. "Wow, powerlifting, that's something." There's her car," I said, pointing at it. "I ordered pizza, and the delivery guy should be here any minute. I'll pay him and take the pizza to the door. When they open, just follow me." The pizza guy arrived, music blaring from his car. When he opened the door, a huge cloud of smoke billowed out. He opened the trunk, grabbed the bag, and was about to slam the trunk shut when I said, "Excuse me." The guy flinched and dropped the pizza. Damn. I waved a $50 bill at him. "Dude, it's okay. The pizza was just a joke. Take it out of the bag. You can keep the change." "Really?" "Thanks, man." He handed me the box and drove away. Diane followed me to the door. I crouched down, covering the box with another box, and rang the doorbell. The door opened, and there stood an unfamiliar guy in boxer shorts. "We didn't order—" That was all he got out before I pushed him aside and ran into the apartment, Diane following close behind. Then the guy asked, "Diane, where the hell is he, Dave?" I threw the pizza on a chair and turned to help Diane with Dave. But there was no need. She had pinned him against the wall, squeezing his throat with her hand. She hit him in the face and asked, "I asked where the hell he is?" Dave pointed to the end of the hallway. Diane let go of him, walked past me, and rushed to the end of the hallway, opening the bedroom door. This time I hurried after her. I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I saw. Ginny was lying on her back, and Amy was kneeling over her ass in the air and her face buried in Ginny. Finally, Amy realized something was wrong and rolled onto her side. I reached out, grabbed her hair, and pulled her to her feet. "Get dressed and go home!" She seemed about to argue with me, but Diana stepped away from Ron and said, "Where's that bitch?" I wrapped my arms around Diana in a bear hug, and Amy wisely decided to run away. At 6 feet 1 inch and 235 pounds, I'm not a small man, but it took all my strength to pull Diana out of the bedroom. "Diana! Diana! You have to stop! You'll be arrested if you don't calm down before the police arrive." She resisted a little while I was holding her, then pressed herself against me and sobbed. Why? Why did he do that? I thought we were fine. I thought he loved me. I held her while she cried. "Come on, you need to go. Go home. You shouldn't stay here when the police arrive." She gathered herself, ran to her car, and drove away. I went back to the bedroom. Ron was leaning against the wall, and Ginny was tending to him. He had a deep cut above his eye and a split lip. I figured he'd have a bruise covering his entire upper body in a couple of days. Ginny was still naked when I looked at her. "Is he going to live?" "Yeah. That crazy bitch could have killed him if you hadn't gotten her out of here." Ron struggled to his feet. "What did you do to Amy? Where is she?" "I didn't touch her. I sent her home. I thought it would give me time to cool off before I ran into her again." "John, man, she really loves you. It was just physical attraction. We've always been very attracted to each other, even when we were fighting." "Shut the fuck up, or I'll finish what Diana started." Ron stopped talking nonsense and let Ginny wipe his face. "You'd better take him to the emergency room and have his ribs checked out. I'm leaving before I change my mind about kicking his ass." Ginny asked, "Where's Dave?" I laughed. "After Diana finally let him go, he's probably hiding somewhere," I replied. I drove around the neighborhood, thinking about what to tell Amy. I stopped a couple of blocks from home and called Diane. She seemed calmer and was waiting for news from Ron or Ginny. I offered to take Ginny to the emergency room to get him checked out. It always takes a few hours, so don't worry if he doesn't come home anytime soon. The emergency room? Oh, I guess I got carried away. Damn, I hope he's okay. When I left, he was sitting and talking, so it's nothing serious. Okay, John, I'm sorry about all this. What are you going to do? I'm getting a divorce. Today was clearly not their first time, so it's over. What about you? I don't know. I still love that bastard, so I'm not sure I can leave. Well, do what's best for you. You don't owe him anything, just take care of yourself. You too, John. Nicole's a grown woman, so don't worry about her. Just follow your own advice and take care of yourself. We said goodbye, and I drove home. Amy was sitting on the couch in her robe. Her hair was wet, so I assumed she had taken a shower. I went to the fridge, grabbed a beer, and sat down in the chair. She looked submissive, without tears, just sad. I waited for her to lift her face and look me in the eyes. So, how long? About 3 months. Tonight was the third night we've been together for sex. We've had dinner together 3 or 4 times and met up a few times for drinks. I shook my head. You knew you'd get caught, and you knew how I'd react when I did. So why? I thought we were being careful. I sat here trying to figure out how we got caught this time. I know you probably came home early, but I thought GNI would cover for me. I just smiled at her through gritted teeth but didn't tell her about the iPad. So you're in love with him again? Still? Oh, hell no, he's a jerk. I'm not even sure I like him, let alone love him. So what the hell is going on, Amy? I have no idea. We've always been really attracted to each other. I just can't say no to him. I was doing pretty well keeping him at arm's length until Ginny came along. I've never been with a woman, and Ginny is bisexual. She and Ron seduced me the first time, and I was hooked. So now, you like threesomes? Why didn't you ask me about that? I think Ginny is very sexy. Ginny is just an addition. I love having sex with Ron. I always have. Why didn't you come to me and tell me how you felt instead of secretly meeting behind my back? Of course, every man wants to hear from his wife that she feels an irresistible attraction to another man. I couldn't do that to you, John. I love you. I didn't want to hurt you. I convinced myself that you would never find out and I would get away with it. I needed to satisfy that need, but I need you too. Her words were like a knife in my heart. She was right. It was unbearable to hear her admit that she was hopelessly in love with Ron. I believed she didn't love him, but I knew she didn't love me the way I loved her. He must be a great lover because from what I've seen, he doesn't have much to boast about. No, she laughed, but there's something between us that binds us together. Listen, John, sex with you is wonderful. I'm not complaining. In fact, I even brag about you to the girls. It's just that Ron and I have this sexual attraction that draws us to each other. I nodded slowly. I see. And where do I fit into all this? I don't know. I definitely don't want to lose you, but I'm not sure I'm strong enough to stay away from Ron. I know this must hurt you, and I hate that, but I'm trying to be honest with you, at least now. Amy, you know me. I'm not the type to share, and I would never agree to some kind of swap with Ron and Diana, so I have no choice. On Monday, I'm going to see a lawyer and start divorce proceedings. Amy gasped and pressed her hand to her face. Oh, God, no! Please, John, there must be a way to save our marriage. She lowered her head and sobbed, then suddenly raised her head. Ginny. What if Ron and Ginny and I switched? You know Ginny has a crush on you. Or, you could be with both of us. I'm sure she'd love that. Please, John, there must be something we can do. I heard the desperation in her voice and saw it in her eyes. Maybe she wasn't lying. Maybe she really did love me. The image of Ginny popped into my head again. I shook my head. Ginny is a beautiful young woman, but she's not my wife. I'm not ready to share my wife with anyone, and besides, I can't do that to Diane. Amy sobbed loudly, covering her face with her hands. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Nicole wasn't shocked when I told her I was divorcing her mother. I feel guilty that maybe this all started because I told you what I heard at my mom's party. I just can't believe she could be so stupid. Don't feel guilty. You did the right thing. I caught her myself. You had nothing to do with it. I love you, baby, and I always will. I'm divorcing your mother, not you. I still want to be a part of your life. Dad, I love you. I know Ron is my biological father, but you're my real father. I think Ron loves me as much as he's capable of, but it's not the same as what we have. Mom said she's moving in with Ginny, and you'll stay in the house until I finish school. I want to stay here with you when I'm not at school. Is that okay with you? I hugged her. Of course, sweetheart, you can always stay with me wherever I live. Amy didn't argue with me about the divorce. I gave her money for her half of the house, and we split everything else 50-50. I think some men would have wanted to destroy her and get revenge on Ron. Well, from what I've heard from Nicole, Diane has Ron by the balls and made him move back to Florida with her. Amy sometimes calls me late at night, usually a little drunk, begging me to take her back. I still love her, and part of me wants her to be with me, but I can't forget what she did. I've tried to understand how she could risk everything for sex, but it remains a mystery to me. I haven't made much of an effort to find someone new. I just haven't been in the mood. I met Ginny at a bar near work. She still looks hot and asked me to go back to my place, but I left. Maybe in a couple of months. If I'm really horny, I'll give her a call. Nicole still stays with me when she comes home from school. She visits her mother, and it seems like they've rekindled their relationship, but it's not what it used to be. Some may ask how I can be so devoted to a child who isn't mine, but it's just pure love. There are millions of foster children and stepchildren in the world who are loved just as much as their own children. Nicole still calls me Dad, and she will always be my little girl.